Hey guys, what is going on? It is Chris back again from TKG Studios, and I am here for a quick video because I want to show you guys how I implemented a double tap to run function in the game. And the reason I want to do this video is because I've seen a lack of resources on how to actually implement this sort of functionality using the new Unity input system. As you know, we're using the Unity 2D beat 'em up template by Osirion, and that template by default uses the new Unity input system, which I wanted to continue using because there's a lot of reasons for that. So shout outs, first of all, to Reddit user Adoziza, who provided this custom interaction script. But I want to walk you guys kind of through how it works because, like I said, I found like almost no resources at all on the internet about how to go about implementing this using the new input system. And I wanted to provide something so that, like, if somebody was in this position, they'd be able to kind of figure out what to do and use this sort of as a base point. Okay, so now here we are in the game. So let's show you kind of how it works. So all this is doing, since I don't have new animations for this Terry proxy model that we're using, I'm going to go ahead and let's just switch it to full HD here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you, focus on this move speed section here of the movement settings. Right now my move speed is 4. If I double tap, my move speed becomes 8 and I move faster. And then if I let go, it becomes 4. Double tap, my move speed becomes 8 and I move faster. So that's basically what it is. It's double tap to run, just like a lot of these kind of games have. And I want to implement that and just have make it so that some characters can do that and some characters can't. So if you notice, I have this can dash boolean that I've also added. If I let go of that, I won't be able to set the dash speed. But that's a different video. But anyway, how did this get implemented? So Reddit user Adozia provided this script here. It's a custom interaction for the Unity input system. Actually, let's go back really quick to the player control so you can see. I called this dash. Probably should change it to run. But anyway, it's a dash property here. Dash action, and of an action type of button. And it really just like it's the only bindings here that we have are right and left, because that's all you really need here. And right now I just have it on the gamepad. But right now we have this interaction on this this action for tap and hold. Now, if you notice, if you go into like the vanilla Unity input system, you'll have these options. You'll have hold, multi-tap, press, slow tap, and tap. You won't have tap and hold. That's because tap and hold is a custom interaction. It just has a few properties here. So we have 4 or 5 float variables, one for press point, one for release point, multi-tap count, and multi-tap time threshold. Just the same as the regular multi-tap. And then we have tap counter. Now, why can't we use the regular multi-tap? The reason why we can't use the regular multi-tap is because the multi-tap works by registering both taps, or however many taps you define, and then a release. So when you release, that's considered the full tap. So for this, we needed to be able to tap and hold, right? So obviously we register it as an interaction. And in the process here, in the process function here, the real key thing is this. We're gonna do a switch case on context, on the context that's passed into the process function. And when you're waiting, when we're in the input phase of waiting, we check to see if control is actuated. What does that mean? So if you go to the Unity documentation about this, control is actuated, returns true if the control that triggered the interaction has been actuated beyond the given threshold. So whatever float variable you pass into this, it's going to check to see if you're pressing the button beyond that threshold, or if the button is beyond that threshold, right? So in this case, our press point is, I have it as 0.5. So if the button is more than halfway pressed, it registers a tap. It starts the interaction here. So context gets set to started, and then it sets the timeout to the multi-tap time threshold plus 0.00001. So in our case, multi-tap time threshold is 0.3 seconds, which is fine. And then in the started case, it checks to see if the control is actuated beyond the press point. If so, it adds to the tap counter. Checks if the tap counter is larger than the multi-tap count, which in our case is 2. And then here's the key thing here, is it sets context to perform and stay performed. That's how we are able to hold the button and not cancel the interaction, which is what happens if you use the regular multi-tap interaction. Okay, so that's great. So how do I use it in the game? So let's go over to the Input Manager script. So in the Input Manager, I have my input action for dash, and then I have my callback context for dash action context, which I'll use later. When on enable, I just assign that dash input action to the dash player input action that we saw in the input controller. Enable it, and then I subscribe to a few functions here. I subscribe the started, performed, and canceled context to these functions. We really only use performed, so I might take out the other ones at some point, but it's probably useful to have all of them. So let's just look at performed, because that's the one that we're really looking for. So on performed, we set the dash action context that we looked at earlier to the context that's being passed in. I have a debug log right now that's showing whether or not it's performed. And then I have this public static Boolean function that returns true if dash action context is performed. That is being checked in the player idle, and I believe the player move. Or no, just the player idle, sorry. I just put it in idle. And in player idle, what it's doing is it's checking to see if input manager is dashing. So if this function returns true, it's going to and the unit settings, the unit can dash, because I do have a check to see whether or not that unit can dash or not. Like I mentioned earlier, it sets the unit to that dash state that I mentioned. What's the dash state? Well, the dash state just changes the move speed and then moves the player. It uses the same move function, the functionality that the move state uses, but it also updates the dash speed, and I want it to be a separate state for reasons. And then if the character is dashing and they can't dash, it'll just debug log that the character can't dash. So that's basically how it works. So that's basically how it works, and that was the results as you saw earlier. I just wanted to share that with anybody. Let me know if you have any questions about this, or if you are trying to do this kind of functionality in our game and you want, to use this script. Let me know in the comments, and I'll send it over. All right, thanks, guys.